That's that little dance was for all y'all because I'm here by myself at the moment. I'm a bit unkempt. You'll notice based on my name today, Not So Ready Steeven. Ed and I thought we would try to do our little live stream here early today since it's a holiday. And if you've watched any of the other making of things, you know that my dog tends to interrupt. And he is a little less active in the mornings. He tends to get up, go outside, do his business, eat, and then go back to sleep. Now, saying that, he's been a bit feisty this morning, so we'll see. It's I wouldn't put it past him to interrupt the crap out of this here live stream. I am in the middle, again, Not So Ready Steeven. I am in the middle of putting together show notes and tweeting out that we're live, even though by we at the moment, I'm just saying me. You know what? I just realized I think one of the reasons why Ed is not here is because I haven't given him the thing. So let me send the thing to him. Come on, there we go. Yeah, Ed needs the link. An access link. A linking for access to get into this here thing. And not so ready. Here, it's over here. Not ready, Steeven. So not ready, Steeven. That's where I'm at. And I've been trying to put our show notes together. And we are going to try to do 3 episodes today. I'm sure we'll talk about that again once Ed is on. Maybe I should email him too, just in case. That's old Steven dropping the ball there, is what that is. Doodly-doo, trying to do all that I do when I'm doing the things. So yeah, that means you all, if you're watching this later, have to suffer through this. Luckily, it does not appear that we have any viewers at the moment, so I'm going to pick something out of my teeth. That'll be exciting to watch. You ready? Here we go. Yay. So yeah, so I've been trying to put the show notes together. So I'm just going to go back to that until Ed shows up. So this is here he is.
Yep. Sorry.
Hey, yeah.
Problem of having too many Twitter feeds.
I want you to notice my name today. So not ready, Steven. That's why I was
All right.
Okay, it's all right that Ed hasn't shown up yet because I'm not quite ready. I'm still trying to put the show notes together. And then I realized, oh, well, Ed can't show up because I haven't said the yet. Man, your beard is growing, buddy. You're getting very Grizzly Adams.
Thank you. I think, or I guess. Okay, sure.
Hey, it's impressive. That was a compliment, man. Of course, mine tends to separate in the middle and grow out like this if it gets too long. So I end up going in and trimming it every now and again. Usually when the sides grow out enough that I can see them out of my peripherals, and then I think somebody's sneaking up on me. What's that? Oh, it's just my beard.
My whole halo here. At times I have to ignore. Yep.
So as I was explaining to the folks who are not watching, because it does not appear that we have any viewers yet, but those who may watch later, I'm in the middle of putting our show notes together.
Okay.
I was able to read. Well, I had read issue 9 already from last time, but I read issues 10 and 11 yesterday, and figured I'll just get up and I'll read issue 12 when I get up, and that it's been a hectic morning. So I got all our listener feedback stuff in here for episode 9. I put in stuff from John.
Okay.
I got Kyle's comments from over on the forum for episode 6.
Right.
And we had a comment from Superman Radio Revisited over on the Twitter as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, he's the one that pointed out Mike'sAmazingWorld.com.
Oh, yeah. No, that's right. I did see that. Sorry. Yeah.
Which I have started using. So we will also have, starting with episode number 9, both publishing date and what they refer to over at Mike's Amazing World as the approximate sale date.
Right. Yeah. The street date and the... Yeah. That's why I always say cover dated, because we can look at that and see that, that's pretty accurate because that's what was on the book.
Right. Exactly.
You can't question that.
Yeah, exactly.
But, we definitely have to make sure not to be confuse that with potentially when somebody would have picked it up, because, we know it's not, but we don't necessarily know what that date was. So that's...
Yeah.
If you do that kind of mistake long enough, somebody will point it out to you.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
I do know that I believe Mr. Rios is a stickler for people saying, well, when you would have picked it up in for number 9 in February 1939. No,
he'll get you.
That's not when you would have picked it up. Or they try to do some sort of link between what was going on in February and the book, and it's well, but it came out in May or June, or actually I went the wrong way. It came out in November, or whatever. So no, and I'm not definitely not giving him a hard time. I agree, and it kind of shows, in my mind, it kind of shows people that have not looked at this kind of information that much, that they make that mistake between the cover date and the street date, or whatever you want to call that, because depending on what you're trying to do when you're talking about it, you could just start off being wrong right from the onset. So particularly, Peter's a big one. He likes to... That's not cool. Look on the spreadsheet here on the show notes under the first paragraph under Superman Radio Revisited. I've enjoyed your first 6 episodes, comma. My cat just made an edit there, and I'm not sure what that was.
I don't think it's, is it? Okay.
Yeah. There's a comma, but I don't know what the rest of
Yeah,
it would have been. She just jumped up here before I could stop her. Sorry about that.
that's all right. Cats are awesome.
Where was that? That was on the forum, or
Yeah,
no?
I'll find it real quick. Yeah, no, it was on
It was,
Twitter.
yeah, it was on Twitter.
Yeah, I'll
Okay,
find
yeah,
it real
sorry.
quick. No biggie, man. No
I didn't think
biggie.
my cursor was down there on the notes. I don't know how it flipped down there.
If a cat jumping up during this episode and taking away, let's see. Let me get to it and see how much the cat actually took away here. But if that's all we have to deal with today,
Well, that's not too bad. I've got the other one sitting here looking out the window as somebody's neighbors mowing their yard.
all that was taken away was super job.
Okay. Well, see, we don't want to miss that bad.
Right. Super job. And I keep getting this weird, that's a thing that's telling me that I'm going to clear the format. Nope, it's not what I want to do. There's like this thing here that's telling me that you're the one that
Yes,
made that change, and I don't know how to get rid of that, but that's all right. It's not like anybody else can see it. So as I'm putting these show notes together, I will have to say, of these 3 episodes of these 3 issues that we're going to talk about,
mm-hmm.
A little behind the scenes stuff for the folks who watch this later or live. Of the 3 issues we're going to talk about now, issue 9 was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Issue 11 was pretty crazy, but issue 10 was almost hard to read. It was there were moments in that book, and yeah, we'll talk about it, that I was just like, I can't believe he's just standing there and letting this man do this. It was hard to read at times.
Wait till you read 12.
Oh boy. 12. Let's see, what's the title of that one? That one's titled Superman Declares War on Reckless Drivers.
And he
does.
That story has probably the most ruthless Superman that we've seen.
Oh boy.
He got down. Woof.
Well, so 10 wasn't even, it's like, this is it's just a strange, because it wasn't even just Superman or Clark. I mean, even the editor was like, it was a tough decision that you had to make to get those photos, but you did it. And it's like, yeah, man, good Lord. It's like to a much lesser degree. It's like when you watch videos, whether it's on America's Funniest Home Videos or on YouTube or whatever, and it's like a kid who has fallen off his bike and is crying, and you're wondering, why is the parent just standing there videotaping them? Why don't they do something?
Right, yeah.
And that's like that, but to the 100th degree. When and I'm just teasing it. I'm not giving it away just yet, but
yeah,
there's just a moment in that issue where he's just like, it's really hard for me to stand here and take these photos while this is happening. But
you're starting to see more things, I think, that if they were turned in now, they would never be published.
Oh yeah.
If they even managed to be turned in, and the creators were just like, no, I can't do that. No,
Yeah.
But yeah, the prison, and then the story that I referred to there in 12. There's just today. There's absolutely no way you would ever see that in a Superman comic book. It wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
It's the kind of stuff that you'd have to like go to Kickstarter and see somebody, who has total freedom do in their book. Yeah. Just shows you how different, everything was.
let's see, 9, 10. I got the notes in for 9. I'm working on the notes for 10.
Yeah, I can see the comments as they come in on StreamYard from YouTube. Can you see, other than on YouTube, how many people are watching?
I'm showing on StreamYard that we have 1 live listener and or viewer, and for
Yoo-hoo.
whoever that is viewing,
Yeah, there we go.
I apologize. This should be action packed, wall to wall entertainment that should
No,
be happening right now.
no,
But
that's the
it's not.
podcast itself. This is the
Yeah,
behind the scenes,
this is you know, my
the
daughter
making of.
my
Yeah.
daughter, you know, you'll see my kids walking by, and I got a new camera, by the way. I just wanted to mention that. So I'm not, even though I'm still looking up to the monitor above the camera, it really should be like kind of right
I was
here.
going to say
But
maybe
then,
the field of view is a little different. Looks like it's a little wider over your right shoulder,
yeah.
so it looks like it curves more than what your other one did. Ooh,
Yeah, it's I wanted to, because in order to use the a webcam, I have to use the one that's built into the laptop, and I have this giant monitor, so I always keep my laptop closed. And whenever I am at work and I am talking to, you know, I have to do like a not a Zoom meeting, but you know, same thing. It's different software, but I have to move stuff around on my workstation just to open up my laptop and get it set up.
okay.
And so I thought, I asked IT, hey, can I get a webcam? And they're like, nah, you got one in your in your laptop. And so I got my own, and I just went to freaking Walmart. I'm frozen. That's going to happen a lot. I went to freaking Walmart.com, and I found one that's normally $100 on clearance for $25. So,
Ooh, nice.
yeah. All right, here's what we're gonna do. Let's see. Do I got here? Let me finish up real quick the show notes for
Okay.
issue number 10, and then maybe we'll just go ahead and record 9 and 10, and then we can take another pause while I get the show notes ready for issue 11.
That's
And
fine.
that way, whoever this poor person is who's watching us live can maybe get a little bit more action. It's gotta find a couple things real quick here.
Open and creatives and summary and the closing. What I doesn't look like you have that much more to put on 11 show notes.
Oh yeah,
But I mean, we can still
that's
do that.
right.
I'm not saying we can't. I was
Yeah,
just
11 right now. The show notes for 11 is just copy and paste of 10.
so we
The
would just
yeah
we would give a summary of the story
yeah
that wasn't the
the
story.
thing that takes me the longest is then jumping back and forth to get the dates and the
Right.
credits and all that crap. I still haven't quite 100% got the credits in for issue
Okay.
10
Yeah,
yet.
that's
So
cool.
let's see.
However you want to handle it.
Approximate, and I'll put these approximate sale dates on here, and we can use them if we want to.
Okay.
I think they're kind of fun, but we just, like, you know, we don't want to piss off the Rios, so we just have to make sure that we say they're approximate. We don't want to bring down the wrath of the Rios. Okay, so I think we're good to go for issue 9 and issue 10. Oh, you know what? I don't have my Audacity open yet. So not ready, Steeven. This new webcam, though, has been fun in regard to FaceTiming with my stepdaughter and grandson, because we, typically we would just do it on our phones, but now we just sit here in front of this big old computer screen and get his whole face.
Yep.
On that computer. Okay, I thought the dog was going to start acting up, but he's just snoring. See, I was explaining to the folks that we decided to go. One of the reasons we decided to go early is A, it's a holiday. We got the time, and B, the dog tends to be a little less active in the mornings. He gets up, he goes out and he does his business, he eats, and then he goes back to sleep. And yet this morning, sure enough, he's been barky barker. Sir barks a lot, and I just thought, well, that's just typical, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So, but right now he's sleeping. All right. Whoever you are watching at home, feel free to leave a comment, ask questions, make suggestions. Not that we'll listen.
We reserve the right.
We reserve the right to ignore your suggestions. We'll probably answer your questions, unless they're dumb, What kind of sweetener do you use in your tea? That's none of your business.
Well, I would tell them, but I would tell them, well, that's kind of a dumb question. But what I do is,
we have to have a little privacy here on this show.
You can't give it all away.
Leave some to the imagination. All right, you recording?
Yeah, I should be. Let me look. Yes, I am.
Loosen up here. Go stretch some. Okay.
Looks like you're getting ready to get behind a trap set or something, man. And
me, may, my, mo, moo, my acting stuff, man. I'm just freezing all over the place, aren't I?
A little bit. It's the video is kind of jerky every now and then.
Yeah, I need to get a new one of those things called the cord that goes from the modem to your computer.
Mm-hmm.
I have a nice long one, but it no longer appears to work, because now I'm just only, even though it's connected, I'm only connected to the internet through the wireless.
And, oh wow, yeah, that pretty much means it's shot then. Yeah.
And while the modem literally is maybe 5 feet from this computer,
doesn't matter.
Yeah, the wireless can sometimes be kind of hinky.
Yeah, you can set that thing right next to you and you'll have problems. But you cross that 3 inches with a cable, works perfectly. So yeah, there's.
I wonder though. Let me try.
Wireless interference, no matter what you do. Can't hear you. Well, maybe they can't hear me. I don't know, but I'm not hearing you. Not hearing you now either.
Can you hear me?
I can now. Yes, there it is. Yes. Can you not hear me?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
I can't hear you.
You can't hear me.
Let me check my settings. Maybe they switched over my my speaker. Yeah, they changed my speaker. Okay, I can hear you now.
Test. Okay, yeah,
I
making
can hear
sure.
you now. Yeah, I thought it would. I thought I would try to because my internet cable is plugged into. Oh, that actually worked. Hold on.
Uh-oh.
That actually worked. So all of that was not for nothing. My internet cable was plugged into my laptop's docking station. And so I wanted to unplug it and plug it directly into the laptop to see if that made a difference. And not being able to truly see behind my docking station, I ended up pulling the the power cord to the docking station, which isn't going to knock out the laptop because it's got a freaking battery. But of course, it knocked out the microphone and my monitor, stuff like that. So yeah.
So
But
that means the internet connection either plugging into the docking station or connecting the docking station to the laptop is what's bad.
yeah, the docking station it connects to the laptop because it keeps it powered. But yeah, there's something about obviously the internet cable through the docking station doesn't. I don't understand what the point of there even being one back there, but maybe I won't freeze as much.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it looks like it's keeping up with you.
So you can see these kind of moves.
It's struggling. It's starting to smoke trying to keep up, but yeah, it's keeping up with all that activity.
When ninjas attack, you'll be able to see all my sweet moves.
That's right. We'll be able to follow it all.
That's right. Move that just a little bit. Yeah, and then so as I was trying to get everything turned back on, I knocked my mouse to the floor. So so not ready, Steeven. That's where we're at. All right. Let me get a drink of agua. All right. Ready for clapping of the hands. 1, 2, 3. That is so helpful. I can't tell you how helpful that is when it comes to putting these together. Cool. At the end of the day. And if you remember the last time I had said there at the end that maybe I will actually get Monday's episode edited during the week and I won't be up all night Sunday night the night before. And guess what?
You were up all night Sunday night the night before.
Up all night Sunday night the night before. So life is what happens when we're making other plans. All right. So episode 9, that's okay. So I'm doing episode 9 and then you're doing 10 and then I'll do 11 because you did episode 8, which we'll see release next week.
Cutting it close.
Cutting it close. I know, but if we get 3 out today, we'll be kind of back where we were.
Kind of, yeah. That'll give you 4 as you're sitting here today to get ready to release. So that's a month.
Yeah, and I was able to pull the comic up through Amazon before we even started.
So, oh, cool. Okay, got that working too.
I'm ready for that. All right, so here we go. You're listening to the Superman Super Show, episode number 9, Wanted Superman. Hello and welcome to an all-new episode of the Superman Super Show. I'm a host. My name is Steeven, and 1,000 miles over there to my right is another host, Mr. Ed Moore.
Howdy, folks. Glad to be here.
We need to figure out the best way to do that because sometimes whichever one of us is leading the episode, sometimes we'll say, you know, Mr. To use me for example, Mr. Ed Moore. Sometimes I'll then go say hi to him, Ed, or sometimes I'll just wait for you to say hi. And then I think sometimes then you're waiting for the say hi to him, and then vice versa. And it doesn't, it doesn't matter.
I think
it's
I
all
probably
fixed.
was, but
yeah, it's all fixed in post. You'd never know. You'd never know that pause was there when you listen to this sucker when it's all done.
It gives folks on the live feed something to look forward to. How are they going to do it? And,
Yeah. Eventually we'll have these super fans that will watch the live, the live feed later and compare it to the episodes and go, oh, there was a 3-second
yeah,
delay in between
exactly.
that part and that part. I see what they're doing. So yeah, there's that'll be fun for the super fans later. All right. Before we get into the episode today, this is, of course, what has now become the famous banter segment of the episodes, where Ed, you and I, we banter.
Banter, yes.
However, instead of bantering this week, I thought maybe we might want to do a bit of listeners' feedback. How does that strike you?
That sounds like a winner.
We've been getting some listeners' feedback here and there as the show has been going on. The show's actually been getting a bit popular. It's rising in the ranks after each episode is released. But because we record these, we're trying to do at least 3 episodes every time we record. Sometimes doing the feedback, we're not always as timely. And obviously here we are recording episode number 9, and we're just now finally getting to some feedback. And this is going to be feedback in relation to episode number 6.
That's not that long ago. That was just 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, that's not too bad. So and we may want to do this every once in a while, just collect up some feedback, and who knows, if we start getting enough feedback, we may choose to have one episode a month just be nothing but feedback.
There we go. That's
in
a
which
lot of
we
feedback.
Yeah, in which we answer questions and talk about what kind of sweeteners we use in our tea and just
we'll never divulge that. That's
we've already decided
that's too much.
It's too private.
Yes.
We got to keep our secrets.
That's right. I mean, yes, that's
all right. So the feedback for episode 6 comes from Twitter, and then we've got some from the forum, which everybody should join, forum.justanotherfanboy.com. There is a special forum within the Just Another Fanboy message boards just for the Superman Super Show. But we're going to start out with one from Twitter. It is from a Twitter account called @Radio Superman. This is the Superman Radio Revisited podcast. This is a podcast exploring the Superman radio serial. Ed, have you had a chance to listen to this show yet?
I think separate from this, that I found it a little while back, and I have it on my downloads, but I don't listen to every episode. But I think I've listened to like the first 20 or 30. I went all the way back and started from the beginning, which I presumed was going to be the beginning of the radio serial, and it indeed was. And
nice.
I don't think they have covered every serial, because I don't believe that they've all been available necessarily. But I've listened to about 20 or 30 of the broadcasts, I guess they would be, and then they come in afterwards and give some sort of explanatory or additional information or things like that. So yeah, actually, separate from getting this feedback, I have listened to several episodes of that.
Nice. I have not had a chance to listen to it yet. I am so behind in all my podcast listens. I mean, heck, you guys over at Boom Addiction put that episode out last week. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
And you even feature a voicemail from me, and I haven't listened to that yet. So, and usually any episode that features me in any way usually jumps to the head of my queue.
Top of the list.
I haven't had a chance to listen to that one yet, but this one does sound interesting. And little side note here, the very end of our show each week, where the guy says that Superman is a trademark of Action Comics Magazine, the way he says it, I think, is very funny. That comes from at least one episode of the old
serial
Superman serials. All right, so let's read what Radio Superman has to say. He says, a resource, if you want to use it, is mikesamazingworld.com for release dates of when the issues hit the stands. I'm surprised DC would retroactively call this Jimmy's first appearance. I consider that to be in the radio show. I've enjoyed your first 6 episodes. Super job. Ed, what is your response to this feedback?
Well, this feedback, particularly the sentiment expressed herein, is reflective of some more feedback we're going to get. So, that in mind makes me wonder if perhaps we misspoke. And what we read was that DC Comics considered that the comics
Yeah.
first appearance, as opposed to just across the board Jimmy's first appearance. So perhaps somewhere along the way we have misconstrued, or we have passed on erroneous information, and so some of our feedback is relating to something that perhaps we did in error.
Agreed.
I didn't go back and look to see exactly how it was stated, because I saw it the same source you did. But perhaps that is what is going on. And if that is the case, then I certainly want to apologize. I never meant to. I know that Superman is going to be in multiple media, and I
Yeah.
don't mean to take the shine from one media and say that it was another that did it or anything like that. So if that's what I have done, I certainly apologize. Um, but I do. That being said, want to maintain that somewhere along the way, the comic book has assumed, the publishers have assumed this appearance of this young man as being the first appearance of Jimmy Olsen.
Yeah.
Now, how they define first appearance is up to rights holders. I consume. I don't create this, so I can't speak to that.
Yeah, and I've always, once I read, again, I don't remember, like you said, I don't remember where the source was, but once I read it, I almost took it as, because I believe the way it was put in the article was that they retroactively made this Jimmy's first appearance, and yeah, Jimmy's first, and I just went really loud on my headphones, and it's freaking
Yeah,
me out.
it cut out for a minute, and then when it popped back in, it popped in at a higher volume.
Okay, that's really weird. Let me turn my volume down.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened. I didn't see you move like to hit anything, but yeah, it just completely cut out and then popped back in.
Let me look
Yeah, I
at my
can hear it.
Audacity. Audacity may have stopped. So,
oh, not good.
But I think it's stopped about the time that happened. So let me.
So it's stopping is what caused that. That's interesting.
Maybe.
Not that Audacity isn't known for weirdness at times.
Yeah.
So anybody who uses it.
Yeah. So let me just say a couple things here real quick and see how that's affecting my volume on Audacity. Hello. Okay, that's pretty loud. Hello. Is it me you're looking for? That might be a little bit better. Maybe just a scotch down. Scotch. Or a scotch.
That's a drink.
Do you drink the scotch?
No, I do not consume alcoholic beverages at all.
I do not either. Never really acquired a taste for it.
Oh, I can't go that far, but I do not consume now.
I mean, I will say that in my late 20s, maybe early 30s, I spent a year where I decided, you know what, I'm going to drink, and I'm going to do it just to get drunk. And I learned that I'm not a great person to be around when I am in that state. So I just stopped. Yeah.
I was a seemingly competitive social drinker at one point.
Okay.
So when I was in college, and most of it left my system then. To be honest with you, that was it's like, okay, I'm good.
That was just for you guys on the YouTube, because I'm probably going to cut that all out.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with Superman. Probably never make a podcast. But.
So I'll try to bring it back seamlessly. So when I edit this, it'll all just act. You just never know. The super fans will go, "Oh, this is the part where they started talking about alcohol." But when I read that from whatever source that was, I took it more of a, not like like DC has rubber stamped this edict. Boom, this is the first appearance of,
Right.
we're, more of a, like, kind of a fun, hey, you know what? Let's just say that that's Jimmy Olsen.
Right. Right.
Because it could be. We know that wasn't who Schuster and Siegel had in mind. They hadn't named this kid. He was just office boy. But we're gonna say, I think that would be fun
Why
to
not?
to say that that's Jimmy Olsen. That's the kind of the way I took it from reading that article.
Yeah, I agree.
My video is just, I shouldn't watch myself because I'm just really non-existent on video right now.
Almost sounds
Just,
like a
I'm like a
personal
robot.
problem, man. I feel bad.
I'm like a robot. And as far as Mike'sAmazingWorld.com, I for this episode here, when we start talking about the issue and then issues moving forward, I have started using Mike'sAmazingWorld.com. They have over there what is called a approximate sale date, so which has not just the month but the day and the year. So please keep in mind when we use those are approximate based on this website. We can't verify that this is the date that the book actually hit the stands.
At this
But
point, I don't know how you could, what source you could go to truly determine something like that for books in the 30s and 40s. Wow,
Time
that's
Machine.
well, yeah. But if you
You
do
get,
that, then everybody will think you're like an alien, because that's what aliens are
yeah,
time travelers.
time traveler.
Because
I'll buy
it's
that.
all Earth based. It's not like
Yeah,
aliens. It's all time travel for us.
I'll buy that. I can get behind that.
If I may, another feature that I really use a lot on Mike's Amazing World is what is called, he calls it newsstand. And what you can do is you can use the newsstand function. You can put in a year and a month, and it will show all of the books in his database that were out at that time. And you can even go so far as to whittle it down to just one publisher's, like all of the
Fun.
DC books for February 1939, and have it list, and it'll list just the DC books, just the Marvel books, just, and on several of my own reading projects, that's what I'll do, because I like to
Yeah.
read out, to see what else is out. At the same time that another book that I'm really focusing on is out, to kind of get a sense of characters and storylines in play and things like that. But that's a really cool feature, is that you can go to, like May 1992 Image, and you'll see the 3 or 4 books that Image had out that month.
That's good to know, because I use the Marvel Unlimited app and the DC app. And when originally I started with the Marvel app, one of the things I really liked about it is that you could do the same thing. You could go in
Yeah.
and do a search by year, just say 1984, and it would show you in order all the books from 1984, and you could just start reading. And
Okay.
then I joined the DC app and was very frustrated that you couldn't do that at all on the DC app. And then eventually they updated the Marvel app and they took that away.
Oh, wow.
And
Okay.
I couldn't figure out why. And I was kind of in the middle of, I think I had started in 86, and I was just reading through the Marvel comics, and I was trying to do the same with DC, but I was finding it frustrating in regard to finding a reading order. But now
Right.
that I know I can do that with Mike's Amazing World, it sounds like we're
Yeah.
doing an ad for Mike's Amazing World, doesn't it?
It's an excellent resource. I
Not
think
a sponsor.
most comic book podcasts nowadays that you'll listen to use it for something
Okay.
somewhere along the way in putting together their show.
I am forever a day late and a dollar short. So I always have to have these kind of things pointed out to me. I often tell people, if there's something that everybody else is doing in the podcasting world, tell me about it, because there's a guarantee that I don't know about it. I'm always the last one to know. All right. First of all, I want to thank Radio Superman for the comment, for the feedback, and for listening. I hope you continue to listen because we sure as heck have a lot of fun putting this little show here together and reading these insane comic books. All right, our next bit of feedback also comes from over at Twitter, and it's from John Reads Comics, or at John Reads Comics, and that's John without the H. John is a podcaster. You can find John at johnreadscomics.com. And according to his John's Twitter, I've read every pre-crisis Superman comic book ever. Check out the Superman in Crisis podcast. Now, this is a podcast I'd listen to, but I, again, am super behind on. I think I'm maybe 4 or 5 episodes in, but it's a really fun podcast where he is reading by week during the months that Crisis on Infinite Earths is coming out. He is reading not just the Superman comics that are coming out each week as Crisis is being released, but any Superman appearance in comic books that are coming out during that week as well. And so that's kind of a fun podcast to listen to.
I'm not sure if you're aware, John, for a while earlier in his podcasting career, had a Golden Age Superman show.
Yeah.
And he started from the same place we did.
Well, very cool.
He covered like 50 or 60 appearances maybe before life got in the way with that show of his. So
yeah,
he is, and I do know this adage, I've read every pre-crisis Superman comic book ever. Well, actually, not to put too fine a point on it, but he just recently crossed into the 90s. Maybe he's at 1991, having read all of Superman's appearances up to that point. So he's pushed past Crisis, and he's in the early 90s. So
yeah, you need to update that, John. You need to get on that, brother. But he also does, or at least he did. He says he might come back to it. All the Pouches.
Oh yes,
which
absolutely.
is again, not that far into it, but it's still a great image in the 90s comic book podcast. John, from what little I know about John, seems a bit like me in regard to, hey, this would be fun to do a podcast about, and then just starts doing a podcast about it.
And he doesn't. Yeah.
He probably has more than I do, but it's not a competition.
He has
John.
A couple out there. And actually, I think if you want to go to his website, his main feed, I think recently he has conglomerated. I don't know if that's the right word, but he's put all of the shows I think that he's done in the past available on one feed.
Nice.
And actually, you can go back through the feed and listen to just about everything he's done.
Wow, I'll have to go check that out because that does sound right. I do remember John tweeting about that, maybe. But let's talk about John's comments because he's got a bit. John says, I thought I would tweet some random thoughts while I listened to your episode. And remember, folks, this is episode number 6. First, to help set your expectations, the 4th issue of Superman is where it becomes all new material, and the standard format is 4 13-page stories per issue. So we're talking, this comment, Ed, confused the crap out of me at first. I thought he was still talking about Action Comics, and then I realized, no, he's talking about the upcoming Superman books, that because we were talking about that,
or I had mentioned.
Yep. So I was I'm easily confused, so that's not John's fault, that's my fault. Obviously, it's very clear in this comment what he's talking about. But he says the first issue is the 4 first Action Comic stories with some expansion on the first story. The second issue is going to be all new to you because all the stories are reprinted from the newspaper strips. And the third issue is half Action Comics and half newspaper strips.
Okay.
So that'll be interesting when we get to that point to try to determine, how we do those episodes. I imagine we're just going to maybe combine like maybe issues 1 and 2 and briefly talk about maybe what they expanded on in those stories for issue 1, and then talk about the new material in issue 2 or something. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Yep.
That's future Ed and Steven's problem right now.
Even more future than this. Yes.
That's right. That's right.
So it's like, yeah.
John continues, as for the numbered panels, it wasn't uncommon during this era, especially in the years leading up to the launch of Action Comics. Many stories had numbered panels. I'm not entirely certain what the purpose was, because in theory, these are all being drawn on one big sheet. I will note that occasionally in my reading, irregular page layouts have made the numbers in the panels helpful in following the flow of the story. So hopefully somebody can help us with that numbered panels thing. I like your theory that the artist maybe got paid by panel and not by page. And so they counted the panels, and maybe that's, tried to fit as many panels on a page as they could. John continues. Also, I have very strong opinions on why this office boy is not Jimmy Olsen. That character is created for the radio show and continues into the serials and TV show before being introduced in the comics in late 1953. I'm not even sure if Olsen is ever said in the page until then. So another angry Olsenite.
That's not Jimmy.
Yeah. And yeah, it's not. I mean, look at the kid.
Yeah.
He's a round-faced office boy.
You can retcon some things, but
that's right. You can't retcon memories. John continues, as far as Superman's villains, remember the comic story landscape at this point. Detective and adventure stories. Superpowers weren't a thing. Superman is now a powerful character solving the kinds of problems that private eyes and police are solving in other books. Powered villains will come, but it'll be a good while yet. That kind of makes me sad. But not, because they're still fun. They're fun stories regardless.
I commented, I think it was on this Twitter stream, that I remember when I started reading Thor comics, and that would have been, those would have been, this is Thor from Marvel. Those would have been coming out in the early-ish 60s to mid 60s. Thor, started out fighting hoodlums and mobsters and stuff, so it was like, talk about overmatched. They were as overmatched as these guys are going up against Superman. It was a no contest.
Yeah. My internet feed is just all weird.
Oh, don't pay attention to it.
I'm trying not to, but it's when I got a handsome man like me on the screen, I can't keep my eyes off myself.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
So, all right. Looking at my Audacity, we're almost 20 minutes into this episode already. I wonder if we should just redo the opening and go ahead and make this a feedback episode.
We can, if you want. Just go ahead and cover Kyle's, and then you can cut it and make it its own.
Yeah.
And that'll give you another show, more leeway as to staying away from having to deal with the current and get it out immediately, kind of thing.
Yep. I think, and then so we'll do Kyle's, and then maybe I'll do the opening again, since since I mentioned in the opening before we get to the, that way I can talk about this is an all feedback episode, blah 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 blah, stuff like that. All right.
Yep.
All right. Our last bit of feedback comes from the forum, and folks, I'm going to say it again. You should join the forum.
Join the
forum.justanotherfanboy.com. It is a forum that was created for the Just Another Fanboy podcast, but there are all kinds of forums there. It's a message board, and there are different forums for all kinds of nerdy goodness, comics. Heck,
movies.
Ed talks about disc golf,
TV shows. Crow's books,
Yep.
hobbies.
And then we have a few podcasts on there as well, such as the Superman Super Show, the Legion project that Eric
Yes.
and Peter did, Peter Rios and Eric from the Longbox podcast do together. And so, yeah, it would behoove you to come over and hang out. I haven't been as, what's the word I'm looking for? I haven't
Active?
been as active as I probably should be, but I have been kind of out of it lately. But let me say this real quick, and then we'll get to Kyle's notes. I have been on this medication that I've been seeing a weight loss doctor, and hopefully when I go in for my next appointment, I will have dropped a full 20 pounds. But there's
Cool
a
beans.
medication that she's had me on. And over the last number of weeks, I've talked about my insomnia, but I something I've never really experienced before is moments of depression and sadness. And I just, I thought, all right, well, it's because I'm physically changing and I'm getting older, and I should probably talk to my normal family doctor about that. And then completely forgot to, because I was feeling great the last time I saw my doctor. Well, and then recently my weight loss doctor upped the milligrams on this new medication. And the day after I took it, I was
Yes.
really depressed. I mean, I just did not want to do anything, was in tears much of the day. And at one point I decided, you know what? Because my wife said, "Are you taking anything new? Any new medication?" I thought, no, not really. But then I realized, oh, well, we upped the milligrams on that medication. And so I remember going over the side effects with my doctor when she prescribed it. But I went ahead and I looked through them again, and one of them was sadness and a feeling of emptiness. And I was like, that's what I'm feeling right now.
So unfortunately, your appetite is not the only thing being suppressed.
Exactly. And fortunately, she had told me originally when she put me on this medication, she's like, here's some side effects. Now, those side effects are considered uncommon. Those aren't the common side effects. The common side effects are like tingly fingertips,
right?
And a lethargy. And it's like, yeah, but I'm lethargic. That's just who I am.
I could deal with that. That's cool.
She says, if you find yourself feeling any of these uncommon side effects, she goes, you can just stop taking the medication. You don't have to wean yourself off of it. Just stop. And so that's what I've done. And I've felt just freaking number one ever since.
So out of nowhere, the questioning as to the reasoning behind your existence was kind of the flag.
Yeah,
I don't normally live there, so this is something new. Yeah, I should. Okay. Yeah.
But that's one of the reasons I haven't been over at the forums. I was trying to remember why am I talking about this?
Yeah, where did this come from? Yes.
Now I remember. Yeah. So I need to get back over there. But we got some fun stuff that we try to do over there. The comic book ABC game, which can be fun as long as I remember the order in which letters go in the alphabet.
Yeah, that's kind of important.
I try to cheat and skip over the hard ones, but Ed's really good about calling me out when I do.
He wanted to get to a letter. He's like, "Huh?"
That's right.
I thought,
that's right.
Wait a minute, what? What about these letters? Did they?
I also like to try to make up comic book characters like Ventricle Lass. I think we need to make her happen.
Yep. I don't know if you dig deep enough, she may already exist, man.
She may actually. I think I looked it up because I thought if it somebody's probably got it, but I couldn't find any.
Oh, at the very least, there's got to be an indie character out there that somebody has thrown in their book. That's just that just rolls off the tongue too easily. That's got to be out there.
I was looking for a V, and I'm trying to go through my mental Rolodex on comic book characters, and they don't have to be superheroes, comic book. And for some reason, Ventricle Lass just popped into my head. And
there you go.
Yeah. All right, so let's read through Kyle's comment from over on the forum in regard to episode number 6. Another excellent episode, guys. I'm still enjoying Lois in this series. I'm not saying I like her actions or the way she treats Clark, but she is active and fun to read. Joe Shuster probably based the city skyline on Toronto because he's Canadian and actually from Toronto. When I was a kid, the government would sponsor Canadian heritage. When I was a kid, the government would sponsor Canadian Heritage Minute commercials on TV, and one was on Shuster and Superman.
Oh, cool.
Shuster was a paper boy for the Toronto Star before they moved to Cleveland. As always, looking forward to the next episode.
Okay.
That's good info. That's, that's the great. I think that's one of the fun things about this show is that you and I obviously don't know everything about the stuff we're reading about. And we also are not big into the idea of research. At least I'm not. And
it depends on the kind of research, but yeah, I agree.
Well, I mean, for myself, I'll do a bit. If it's something, if I can't find it immediately, it's like, it's I lose interest real quick. But it's nice to have listeners that can also provide us with information that we didn't know. And I don't know that I ever would have come across the fact that he was a paper boy in Canada before moving to Cleveland.
I think that's drilling down quite a bit, and I'm not sure that I've ever had an interest in Superman enough to drill down quite that deeply into the creators.
Yep. So lots of good feedback here in this episode. We ask that keep it coming. Do you remember Derek Coward, one of the OG comic book podcasters, used to always say that feedback is the currency that pays the podcaster. Of course, nowadays we have this whole podcasting community that's all about money is the currency that pays the podcaster. But folks like us, we didn't get into podcasting to make money. We just wanted to talk about comics, and my family doesn't want me to talk about comics with them. So I got to talk about comics with somebody.
I need an outlet. Please listen.
And sit around the dinner table and go, so in this latest issue of Superman, they're like, you know what? We don't want to hear
it. No, Dad. No.
I don't care what Clark Kent did.
Wife's sitting there giving you one of these.
Yeah. Read the room, Steeven. So yeah. But the feedback, you can provide it to us in a number of ways. You can follow us over on Twitter, and oddly enough, I need to go because I don't need to go. I need to go over to Twitter to look at our. We are at Soups Super Show. We couldn't get Superman Super Show over at the Twitter, so
probably too long.
Yeah, I think it was too long. I think that's why I had to shorten it. And I can never remember what it is off the top of my head, but at Soups, SUPS, Super Show. So there's one way you can go about it. Follow us over there. Reply to our when we tweet out about an episode. You can send in Steeven can't talk. I often repeat myself. Steeven can't talk. You can send us an email at thesupermansupershow@gmail.com. Or again, join us over at the forum.justanotherfanboy.com, and come join in on all the fun over there, because we need you over there. The world, the existence of humanity depends on you joining us at the forums. Not to put any pressure on you. We want you. That's if you're watching the video.
Yes.
Ed and I were,
Those of you listening to the podcast have
yeah,
no idea what that silence was about.
yeah.
But it was about something. So
it's a moment of silence for people not joining the forum. That was weird. So I'm trying to think of an easy way we can close this sucker out. But really, we've talked about how you can provide us with your feedback, because we'd like to do more of these. It would be fun if we could do these once a month. But that all depends on you, folks. If you, like me, get a quick moment of joy, a tiny little thrill every time you hear your name on another podcast, then it would behoove you to send us some feedback.
There you go. That way we can mention your name.
That's right. I'm thinking about sending in some feedback because I don't think we say my name enough on this show, frankly.
Okay. Well, you use the phone in line. Do we have a phone in line? Nobody uses it, so
we don't. I do for just another fanboy.
okay.
If we had some interest, we could open that up for the Superman Super Show. Nobody's using it for just another fanboy. So I have gotten one text over there, which is kind of nice. But yeah, remember voicemails back in the day?
Yep.
Yeah, those were fun. Listening to those old Just Another Fanboy episodes and coming across some of those voicemails have been kind of fun.
Although you might want to watch out, because I know I sat here and watched my co-host for Boom Addiction really struggle to get your voicemail on live stream the other night.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's a good point.
Or on StreamYard. Yeah. He, woof. He had to work it.
I'll have to get with him to see how he did that, because I would have no clue how to do that. No idea.
Yeah, it was funny because he and I both looked it up, and he was reading what I was reading, and he did exactly what it said, and it didn't work. Yeah. But like on the fourth time he did exactly what it said, it worked.
It just worked. Yeah.
Yeah. It was a struggle, but yeah, he got it on there.
That's technology. Yeah, I just honestly, I just kind of figured you guys would just listen to it separately and then talk about it as if you just listened to it and then just stick it in post. That's what
he put it in there, and he even got it to where he could, pause it. So you would say a couple things, and he'd pause, and we'd talk about it, and he'd hit play again, and yeah. So I mean, he got it to work successfully, but it just took a little bit of trying.
Yeah, that was the night that the sadness and the emptiness really was coming down on top of me.
Yes. Yikes. So, okay.
I did join your live stream for a little bit, and then I'm gonna go to sleep. I'm all better now. I'm all better now. Hopefully. Cross my fingers. All right. Well, that's the show then, folks. There's really nothing else to say except for my name is Steven, and I'm going to take this moment right now to say goodbye. Goodbye. And then over there's Ed, and he's going to take a moment real quick here to say goodbye.
This is my moment. Goodbye.
See you later. All right. So let me just, we lost our viewer, by the way.
Stop that.
The viewer was like, I can't listen to this stuff, now, man.
Can I tell you a secret?
Yeah.
It was my wife, and she's probably in there working on dinner. So I hear her banging around in the kitchen. Yeah, we're going to do a, that typical memorial kind of thing for Linner or Dunch.
Oh yeah,
whatever you call it. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I may put a beef stew in when we're done.
Ooh, nice. Okay.
I have to. There's only a few things. I make dinner. The wife does laundry. I do dinner. That was our deal.
Okay.
But now that I can only eat certain things, there are only certain things I can make for dinner, and I've been trying to expand my my catalog, whatever you call it. But yeah, but beef stew, which has always been one of my kids' favorites, except for now I can't put potatoes in it, so that kind of makes them sad.
You can, but you just don't eat the potatoes. That's how
Yeah,
it
I'd have
should
to
be.
pick around the potatoes, and I don't want
Yeah, you'd have to
that's a
pick the potatoes out. I
I
know, I know.
I do when I do a roast, I do put potatoes there because that's easier just to not to eat those potatoes, but
Mhm.
you know, the kids will eat those potatoes. But yeah, as far as the beef stew, I don't put the potatoes in. So,
Okay.
but I do make a
All
good
right,
chicken breast, baked chicken breast.
oh, there you go. That's healthy.
Some good stuff.
I
All right,
uh, I
let me
saved that as a feedback, so
okay.
and I
Let me
restarted and everything, so I'm good to go here.
all right, I'm gonna do my opening real quick for this feedback
Okay.
episode. You're listening to the Superman Super Show, episode number 9. Oh, what do I want to call it? The
Not episode.
feedback episode.
Okay.
What do you think?
That sounds, yeah, that's fine.
All right. And do the other opening. Hello and hello and welcome to an all new episode of the Superman Super Show. I'm a host. My name is Steven, and 1,000 miles over there to my right is another host, Mr. Ed Moore. Say hi, Ed.
Hi, Ed.
So we're going to do things a little differently this time around. We have been getting some feedback for the episode, specifically episode number 6. We got some 3 pieces of feedback from episode number 6, and we thought we'd read them out and discuss them, and kind of figured that adding them to a discussion of an issue at the same time might make the episode a bit longer than normal. So this is going to be an all feedback episode. And we kind of would like to do some of these going forward, once a month, once a quarter. I don't know. It just depends on how much feedback we start getting and how much you guys enjoy this episode here, and like hearing your feedback discussed on these episodes. So why don't we just get into it?
Let's do it.
And then I'll just figure out how to cobble that together.
Now, do you want to make the feedback episode a regular number, because that has now thrown off our numbers moving forward in the show notes? Or do you want to make the feedback its own separate line of episodes?
I think
the first.
we're gonna our episode numbers are gonna end up going squiggly as soon as we hit Superman.
This is true.
So might as well make it its own episode now. Start getting people used to that.
Fair enough.
Because as soon as we hit Superman number 1, and then start going back and forth between Superman and Action Comics, the numbers are going to be off anyway. So
okay, all right.
As much as that makes my my what little OCD I have twitch.
Well, not they won't really have to be off, because it'll just be episode X of the show where we're talking about the third story from issue 3 of Superman, cover dated, so I mean,
I'm gonna save my Audacity file here. So do we want to go ahead and make this the next? We could. Well, no, because we've already done episode 8, and we've already opened it as episode 8. So
yes,
and
episode 8 is in the can, and you called this 9 for the feedback.
I called this 9. So okay.
So the next one's going to have to be 10.
10, yeah. Okay.
So we're looking at 10, 11, and potentially 12, just depending on how much we talk.
Yeah.
Which we're already an hour and 15.
Yep. Just saving this wave file. And my Audacity has just been, I've been trying to carve out some time to learn this new recording software, Reaper, because my Audacity has just been sucking really hard lately.
Getting along.
It's super slow. And if I have to get up for any reason and walk away from the computer for 10 minutes, come back and start back in, it just shuts down.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It saves, but it just shuts down.
Right.
And I can't, can't deal with it.
Yeah, that's a difficult struggle to just overcome. It's not how you want it to work.
And all the audio nerds these days will tell you, well, you should be using Reaper anyway.
Oh,
Reaper's
really?
so much better.
Is that what everybody's going to now?
That's what yeah. But
Hmm.
I think a lot of the people who say that also use it for music. I think it's built more for recording music than it is voiceover. So
Well, it has a MIDI sequencer, so I would say that that's more musically inclined.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
And is it free?
No, I mean it is, but it isn't. You can do a trial version, and apparently,
Okay. Well, then why would I want to use it if I mean, it's like,
well,
well, that's
as long as, because I was talking to somebody the other day who they were telling me that they use Reaper, and I'm like, yeah, I thought about it, but you got to pay for it. And he goes, well, I've had it for 6 years or something, and I've never paid for it. But it loads up, because mine will load up and it tells me that my trial is ended.
right.
But then there's a button that says something like, I'm not ready to decide yet, or something like that. And if you click it,
Oh,
it lets you keep using
okay.
it for free. So
Yeah, I mean, if paid stuff, I would almost rather go with GarageBand if I'm going to
yeah,
use something, you know.
yeah.
So,
But Audacity, I've been using it for so long.
oh yeah.
I know, all my settings for,
Hmm.
just what I do to the audio after I've recorded, and, just all the
Have
little
you tried
shortcuts.
the
And
tricks uninstall and reinstall? Have you done that?
I haven't, maybe I'll try that,
Is it
because,
updated to the latest version?
yeah,
Hmm.
that's where it started.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
So
I mean, go online and see if you can find there are websites that maintain older versions of
yeah.
things and just look up, old version Audacity or Audacity and do a lower number and
Yeah.
see if you can get away with just using an older version and it work okay.
I might try that too. I think I'm going to try the uninstall reinstall first, because the new version of Audacity has a couple of shortcuts that's new to it that I really enjoy, and I've started getting used to it. So,
Mm.
it's just that the
First
shutting
world recording problems.
yeah,
Yes.
the
Yeah.
shutting down on me is what pisses me off more than anything else.
Oh, and yeah, no doubt.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
all right. So this is going to be episode 10. Let
10.
me just up a date. Let me up a date that. Now everything on my whole computer. See, and I'm starting to wonder. Sometimes I'm wondering if it is actually. Oh, you're updating it.
Yeah, I did. Sorry, I didn't realize this is what you were
Okay.
talking about. I was sitting here. I thought I'd go ahead and do it.
No, that's cool. That's cool.
So, okay, there we go.
But sometimes I wonder if it's not Audacity, but just the computer itself.
Well,
Um,
there could be, yeah, some sort of communication concerns between
yeah.
software of an age and hardware of an age, and yeah.
I need to upgrade my computer that I record on. But I think you and I know that doing that costs money. And so
Yes, yes.
one of the things that I've been kind of running through my mind is, okay, well, what if I did, I think back to the days when I used to listen to Adam Warrock, who is an old nerdcore rapper,
Hmm.
and he would do once a year. People would come to him all the time and be like, hey, you don't have a donation button on your website. I want to
Ah, right.
donate money to you. And he's like, nah, I do. He would do once a year. He would have a week, the week that he quit his job to just focus on his music, to his rapping career. And he would take that week and he would call it donation drive week.
Okay.
And that's the week he would ask for donations. But he would create like an album, or an EP or something, a number of songs to give. If you donate, here you get this for free, and you get this for
Oh,
free.
okay.
That would
Okay.
only go to people who donated.
Right.
regardless of the size of, this was like almost before Patreon, and he wouldn't do like levels. It's like, if you donate $1, you get this one song. If you donate $5, you get the album.
Yeah.
It's just like, as
That's
long
a
as you
Patreon
donate.
before Patreon.
Yeah, well, but he didn't do that. He would just say, as long as you donate, at least I think he had a minimum, like $1. As long as you donate, you get everything that's in the package. And so I'm like, I could do something like that, but what am I going to give away?
Right. Right.
And there's just nothing. So, but I'd love to upgrade my stuff, but money don't grow on trees. All right. Are you recording?
I am recording. Yes.
Okay. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. And then so I'll start this sucker up.
So
You're listening.
You want me to carry this one since you just talked the other one?
Yeah, that's fine. I'd kind of like to do the prison one anyway.
Okay. Okay. You're listening to the Superman Super Show, episode 10, Wanted Superman. Hello, and welcome to an all-new episode of the Superman Super Show. I'm a host. My name is Ed, and 1,000 miles over there to my right is another host, Mr. Steeven. Steeven, say hi.
Howdy, y'all.
And I should have inserted my hi, but I didn't. So, hi. Not to take Steven's thunder, but I'll say hi too. Today we're looking at Wanted Superman, which appears in Action Comics number 9. Written by Jerry Siegel, penciled by Joe Shuster and Wayne Boring, inked by Joe Shuster and Wayne Boring and/or, lettered by Paul Loretta, and edited by Vincent Sullivan. Now, the pencilers moving forward, I think, and the inkers are going to be a little, because there's ghosting and there's help and there's all these other issues that may pop up, particularly at this time of comic book creation. So, Joe Shuster typically penciled and inked, but he may not do all of it. There may be another person or two people in some instances that I've seen.
Right.
So, moving forward, that's what we're going to run into. Jerry Siegel pretty much is a stay, but Joe Shuster maybe with some help and things moving forward. So, Action Comics number 9 was published by DC Comics, and it has a cover date of February 1939. The approximate sale date is thought to be January 3rd, 1939, and that comes to us by way of Mike'sAmazingWorld.com with an assist from the Superman Radio Revisited show, which is a podcast that explores the Superman radio serial, and it can be found on Twitter at Radio Superman. Now, here's what happened in Superman's story Wanted in Action number 9. He is still wanted by the police. Let me jump in here and say, too, I think this is the first actual continuation of a story that we've gotten from the previous issue.
Pretty much.
So he is still wanted by the police for destroying all of those slum tenements, and the police chief is furious. He's hired Detective Captain 100% Riley from Chicago to help apprehend Superman. Back at the Daily Star office, Clark Kent asks Lois Lane out on a date. She reminds him that she finds him contemptible. He tells her that he knows that she's got someone else she's thinking of, and she admits that she's in love with Superman. Detective Captain Riley comes up with a plan to catch Superman. He promises a $5,000 reward to whoever helps capture and arrest Superman. As Superman is helping to stop a mental patient named Saunders from committing suicide, he's noticed by Mortimer Snoop, a small-time crook who read about the reward for his capture. Snoop calls the police and tells them that he saw a man remove his clothes and then jump up into the sky. Detective Captain Riley hurries to the spot where the clothes are. He and Snoop wait in that spot for Superman to return so that they can catch him. Superman saves the mental patient, then returns to where he left his clothes. Snoop and Riley get into an argument and separate, giving Superman time to collect his clothes. As Riley chases Snoop, Snoop hides in an alley and reads the memo he pulled out of Superman's coat pocket. Snoop makes his way to the address listed on the memo, but is refused entry to the party happening there. He calls the Daily Star and asks to speak with the society editor, but instead is put on with Lois Lane. He tells her that he knows Superman is going to be at a party and needs help getting inside. Lois makes her way over to the party, but double crosses Snoop so that he gets thrown out. In a last resort, Snoop calls Riley. Riley heads over to the party, and he and Snoop start looking for Superman. In the meantime, Lois Lane asks Clark Kent to help her find Superman so that she can warn him of the danger. Riley decides to line everyone up against the wall and shoots them. No, I'm kidding. And search them. Just as he's about to search Clark Kent, he lets it slip that he has no intention of giving Snoop any of the money. In anger, Snoop turns off the light. When Riley turns the light back on, he is face to face with Superman. Both Riley and Snoop jump on Superman to try to catch him, but they only succeed in injuring themselves. Disgraced, Riley returns to Chicago as Lois Lane once again daydreams about Superman. So, Steven, what did you think about all of that?
Sorry, I muted it.
There you go. Okay.
First off, was I the only one who, as I'm reading this, the first time we encounter this character by the name of Snoop, who, by the way, this is Mortimer Snoop's only appearance. Eventually, as the story goes on, I keep reading the name Snoop, and it goes in my head from being, like, you're such a Snoop, to being Snoop D-double-O-G.
Yeah.
Or Snoop
sipping on gin and juice.
D-O-double-G. Yeah, I started thinking of Snoop Dogg. So every time they would say Snoop, and that was kind of funny. But the whole fact that Captain Riley, 100% Riley, who again also his only appearance ever, he decides to put this bounty on Superman, this reward, and he says himself in panel number 17, when first he calls in panel 16, he calls the newspaper to tell them about the $5,000 reward to give to the person who helps capture and arrest Superman. And then the editor or the other captain's like, "Are you crazy?" He goes, "Now take it easy, Chief. You said I could handle this case my own way, didn't you? Well, that's the way I always start off. I see that a large reward is offered for a desperado's capture. Then I collect it myself." What kind of crap is that? He just here's what I'll do. Okay. Because just moments before, he's trying to think of what he can. It's like, what can I do? What can I do?
Right. He has no idea. Yeah.
How can I start this? And suddenly, action, that word, eureka, I've got an idea. And first of all, then he admits that it's something he does every time anyway. And his plan ultimately isn't really a plan. It's just a way for him to make money. It's like that. That's a crooked cop if I've ever seen one. And I find it funny. And when he bullies up to Clark at one point, when he's standing up in front of the news people, and he's like, "I'm gonna get my man. I always get my man every time." And Clark's like, "Oh boy, this guy's a big blowhard," and he just gets all up in Clark's face. And Clark, of course, backs down. This was kind of this issue was more silly than anything. I was honestly hoping for something more because of the whole Superman is now a wanted man. He's wanted by the government. I mean, He went up against the National Guard in the previous issue. They were shooting at him and dropping bombs on him. And that doesn't at all escalate. It just goes from there to some out of town cop coming in and just trying to catch Superman unaware so that he can arrest him. That's, I don't know. I liked it. I just thought it was really silly. And the back and forth between Snoop and O'Reilly, as you know, well, I'm the one that found him, so I should get the $5,000. Well, of course I'll share the $5,000
Right.
with you.
Yeah.
I'm not going to share that $5,000 with him. And that it was kind of funny. And then Lois, who you know, she's in love with Superman, and so she gets into that party. She uses O'Reilly to get into the party, but then gets in just to find Superman, to warn him. And yeah, it was a fun time.
Li- Little bit different feel because of Snoop and Riley and yeah, it this I don't know, this felt a lot more to me like a radio serial
Yeah,
where you couldn't, you can't see what's going on. So verbally, they really have to up the game to set the scene and make the pictures for you.
yeah,
And so if you can imagine yourself not looking at this, but hearing these text boxes and narrations and things. It struck me a lot more like a radio serial that has been adapted to this particular format than any of the other things that we've read so far about him.
yeah.
And
And we're
I think,
still.
go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, go ahead.
I think that's to me the reason really was how because of how over the top sniveling Snoop was and how over the top Riley was, to
Yeah,
make up for the fact that you can't see anything about him. So everything
yeah,
you have is what you hear. And so they were written just so much over the top that, yeah.
yeah, yeah. I almost want a Riley Snoop series.
Oh,
You know?
that would be that would be something a la
Yeah.
like Sam and Twitch
Right.
from Image
Exactly.
Comics. Yeah, that would you send Riley sends Snoop in first to infiltrate, and then they work this thing together. Yeah, that would
Yep.
be quite the plan.
Yep. And we're back to we're still doing the 8-panel grid,
Hmm.
but in this issue, many of the panels aren't all the same width. Basically, they're all different lengths. But we still got 2 by 2 by 2 by 2, but they're not all equal.
And they alternate when they're big too. They don't stay all big to the left or all big to the
Yeah.
right.
Yep.
So what'll happen is you have that margin between them will zigzag
Yep.
as you go from line to line. I noticed too.
Which feels more like a comic book than
Hmm.
just the previous, just the 8-panel grid where every panel was exactly the same size. But yeah, this panels, let's see, what is this? 74 and 75, when Lois needs she uses Snoop to get into the party.
Hmm.
And good evening, Miss Lane. Shall I admit this person who persists he knows you? I don't know him and I don't care to.
There you go, boy. Yep.
The guy kicks him out. Oh, because that's right, because Snoop calls her because he needs her to get him
To,
in.
to get him in, yeah,
Yeah.
and
And
she's like, well, when she finds out why,
yeah.
then she wants to be there herself. She doesn't need help, and she doesn't need him. So
Yep.
yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, all in all, there's really not a lot going on in this story. It's just a bunch of um almost like crazy hijinks. It's kind of a crazy hijinks story
I don't
with,
know that they necessarily meant it to be humorous, but it seems to me to be more humorous probably than any of the previous stories up to this point.
yeah. And the biggest, I guess the biggest threat or the biggest concern for Superman at any point during this issue was the moment at the party where O'Reilly or Riley is going to search everybody.
Mhm.
And Clark knows that when they get to him, the secret's going to be out because he's wearing his Superman costume underneath his tux. But then Snoop, for some reason, just out of anger, turns off the lights. Hold on just a second. Snoop then, just out of anger, turns off the lights, and that allows Clark to quickly turn, dress into Superman, and then that moment where Riley and Snoop both leap at Superman, only to conk their heads into his sides.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. The Man of
Yeah.
Steel, for sure.
Yeah, and then they refer to him in the headline the next morning. 99% Riley leaves town in a hurry.
And did I notice? Let's see. Is this the first time that they had tried to do Superman's symbol in red? I don't have a note. I thought it was still yellow. It was yellow at the beginning of this story, but here, these final panels, it looks like, maybe by mistake or something, they tried to make it red. In 74, you can't really tell. In 75, it looks, or I think that's 70, 90. 94, it looks off. 95, it looks like they tried but missed. And then in 96, it looks like they got the shield yellow and the S red finally.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then in the advert in the bottom right panel, it's the S is red there too. So I think that's the first time we've seen the red S, which I thought I made a note of when that appeared, but I don't see it. Okay.
And speaking of which, it was in issue 7 where Superman's boots throughout the issue were yellow.
Mhm.
And we were kind of wondering about that, and if it was part of the original issue. And I'm noticing over here on Twitter, because we just, as we're recording this, we also put up episode number 7 today. And John Reads Comics,
Oh, is he
over
commenting
at the
already?
Twitter.
Okay.
Yeah, he just left a quick
No
comment that
feedback.
says, I can confirm that Superman's boots were yellow in the original of this issue. So
Okay.
so they
Yeah, see, that's, and I haven't really made an issue of it, but I'm reading
Yeah.
these from the Superman, the Golden Age, the big
Yeah.
volumes.
Me too.
And these recolorings, not to put too fine a point on it, but they suck.
Yeah, they can.
I just, and I don't know why they felt that, but just the recoloring didn't work. To me.
Well, I think
So
unfortunately there's
ugh.
an attitude, I think, in some cases where the way we color now, and it's not just coloring, it's I think people across the
All of it.
board,
Yeah.
regardless of what industry they're in, the way we do it now is better, so we're going to improve upon what they tried to do back then, and that doesn't always work.
Well, and see, for me, there's a conflict there. Yes, I will agree that, like, say, movies, okay? Movies now are so much more captivating with the special effects and the CGI and all that, and but but there is something cool about sitting and watching an original print of Star Wars.
Yeah.
It just, I guess it's the nostalgia, maybe almost entirely. You know, I've even seen those re redos of Star Wars where they went back and added special effects for the time back in 2000 or whenever they did
Mhm.
that. And I just, even if that is what the original producers and directors, even if that's what they envisioned, but they just weren't able to do it, obviously, particularly with something like Star Wars, there's nothing wrong with how they did with how they
Right.
did do it,
Right.
or it would not have been as popular as it was.
Yeah.
So these are the same things. What you're doing, to my mind, is you're trying to give these comics to people that have never seen them before. Why change them?
Yeah.
There's no point in that.
Yeah.
Nowadays, the Action Comics 1,753 that I pick up, no, I don't want to look this way because
Right.
I know but I am reading comics from 1939, 1940.
Yep.
Give them to me the way that they were. That
Yeah.
that's
There's
as much of what this is as anything,
Yeah,
you know?
there's something to be said about seeing the progression. This is what they look like then, this is what they look like now,
Yeah.
and there's it's history. And I the analogy of the movies, yeah, there have been plenty of times when I have watched for example, a movie from the 80s, and I'll see a bit of special effects and I'll think, "Ha- had they done that nowadays, that wouldn't be a practical effect. It would be CGI,
Right,
and
right.
probably wouldn't look as special,
Okay.
wouldn't look I mean, some it's like I watched the original Ghostbusters the other day, and there are
Oh, okay,
scenes
there's
with
yes.
the dogs, the big demon
Yes.
dogs, where it's stop motion, and it's like there are some moments when I'm just like, oh, this did not hold up, and there are some moments that's like, this is pretty awesome. This looks really good. So I can almost see it either way. But there's a reason why certain filmmakers, John Favreau, in sometimes when he does stuff, like when he did Iron Man and whatnot, he tries to do as many practical effects as he can before he goes to CGI.
Right, right.
And that's the simple fact is just because if you can pull it off in a practical effect, it's going to look more real than a CGI effect.
And it will look more
Um,
real always.
yeah, exactly.
Always,
Uh,
so yeah, that's the thing. You don't, quote unquote, date the product quite as readily,
yeah,
by having good stunt takes and by having,
yeah,
stuff like that. Like, you know, blowing up a car is blowing up a car.
yeah,
It's never going to change,
yeah.
So
And then
I was just sitting thinking, Back to the Future.
yeah,
They could just wail on those movies if they made them nowadays.
yeah.
But yeah. So
It's I
I'm old. Thank you.
there's a part of me that just wants to, it's like if you when you take away the practical effects and you make them into CGI, in many cases, you're almost taking the heart out of it.
Hmm.
And
Exactly.
but then at the same time, I'm a big fan of the CGI when it comes to certain other effects. If you're, Gollum, for example, I think Gollum was a almost perfectly rendered digital creature.
Hmm.
But that was a combination of CGI and then of course the actor in the suit, doing the movement and getting the eyes and the mouth and everything all right. So
I, it also depends though on the genre I think you're working in.
agreed.
Fantasy. Yes, the
Needs it
better the
to a certain
effects,
extent. Yeah.
the better that the
Yeah.
movie is going to come across. Um, Space operas with ships and lasers and fights. Yes, the better the effects. Now you come all the way back down to earth and do a quote unquote street level. I'll take my 70s and 80s kung fu movies and I'll
Yeah.
put those up against any kung fu movie you make now.
Yeah.
And like Crouching Tiger standing on the blade when they were fighting. And so it looks cool. But back in the 70s, they did stuff like that then too.
Yeah.
They called it wire working
Yep.
and it looked different, but it worked and it worked just fine for what you were trying to do there.
Yeah.
So, and this again, all you're doing is you're wanting to reproduce these books so that the people have access to them now. In my
Yeah.
mind, there is no reason to have to change it. You don't need to fix anything because none of it
Nope.
is broken.
No.
It's not, you know.
Yeah. Recoloring it to, you're not going to make somebody want to read it more because
No.
you've used a modern coloring process on it.
Yeah.
It's like
No.
people are going to look at it and they're either going to know right away, oh well, they've used a modern coloring process, and now I guess I do want to read it. No,
Yeah. I don't. Yeah.
it's
I don't think it's.
I kind of equate that for me. I equate it with some of the bands I used to I grew up listening to. It's you listen to for example, I'll use Motley Crue for an example. Their very first album before they got big was done on a shoestring budget, and
Okay.
so it doesn't have all the fancy effects and all that crap on it, but it sounds raw and it sounds just in your face and awesome. And then you compare it to maybe something they did in the early 90s, and they just don't sound
Right.
as hard, or there was a one of my favorite songs from the band Kiss is a song called I Love It Loud. And
Hmm.
it's got this certain sound on the drums. It's just kind of this loud, booming, almost echoey kind of sound to it. And that's from like really early 80s. Well, in the 90s, they put together this compilation album and they said, we're gonna add I Love It Loud to it, but we're gonna remix it. And they ruined the crap out of that song because they turned all that thundering boom of the bass drum. They made it sound like just like a wimpy bass drum. And it's like, no, that may be what you're doing now, but you destroyed this song. You took what made this song special and you just threw it in the garbage. And I think that's what they do when they try to update these old comics for
Yeah.
reprint.
I agree. And just throwing out there, having brought up Kiss, I find that I prefer their concert recordings better than I do a lot of their in studio stuff
Yeah.
because the energy comes through from those
Yeah.
normally I prefer the nice structured harmonic in tune studio to a live production for most anybody. But there's just something about a Kiss concert in the early 80s, man, that,
Hmm.
when they recorded that sound, they captured something
Yeah.
else too. And so,
Well,
when you hear those, it really comes through.
to go on a quick tangent, their third album was that was their first live album, Kiss Alive.
Hmm.
And their first album didn't sell very well. Their second album didn't sell very well. And yet they were selling all kinds of tickets for their shows. And people were coming out in droves to see them live.
Right.
And that's when they decided, let's do a live album. This is probably going to be the last thing that we record. Let's give them, what they're getting as close as we can, what they're getting in the shows. And that's the album that ended up just really starting the whole thing for them. And it's
Yeah, they were.
now they did, they'll be the first to admit it. They did, it's not all fully live. They did come back into the studio and add some stuff to it, to
Okay.
fill it out a bit more. So you did get a little bit more of that, in your chest when you're listening to it, but it's still live. And I've seen them 4 times live, twice with the makeup and twice without. And yeah, there's nothing quite like a Kiss show. Granted, if you've seen one Kiss live show, you've seen them all.
Oh,
They do practically the same thing. They almost created a formula, but yeah, but it's still, yeah, it's good stuff.
all right. Anything else you want to add?
I don't, nah, nothing
Okay.
else.
All right. Well, folks, we do want to thank everyone for listening to the episode, this episode in particular of the Superman Super Show. If you do want to drop us a line, you can do that at the supermansupershow@gmail.com. If you want to help the show in any way, there's a number of ways you can rate us, you can review us, but just more than anything else, tell somebody. If you like the show, tell them you like it. Um, Give them the name of the show, and they can do a little Google search and they can find us. We post on Twitter. We have forums. We do all the stuff to try to help people find us as easily as they can. But I
Text
don't
them
want
the link. If you got a buddy that listens to all their podcasts on Apple Podcasts, grab the freaking link to our show on Apple Podcasts and text it to them. Boom. You've made it easier for them to find us.
There you go. And that's the key. People, and I don't say this in a mean way, but people don't necessarily want to work to do something that they enjoy.
Yep.
So the easier that you can make it for them to get something that hopefully they'll enjoy, I think the more that they will be willing to do that. So until next week, I'm Ed saying goodbye. And here is Steven saying maybe the same thing.
Same thing.
All right. And that's all from us, folks. We will catch you later.
Bye. All right, let me save this. We'll do the one more, and then I think we're done.
That was, what was that, 10?
That
9.
was 10. No, that was 10.
That was 10. Oh, yeah.
Feedback was
Okay.
9. Yeah.
Was 9. Yeah. Okay.
We got our viewer back.
All right. Viewer back.
I had a little thing up here saying that my internet connection was unstable. Now it's gone, so that's good. Probably should have rebooted the modem before we started.
Well, don't do it now because it might not come back.
Exactly.
That's how those things work.
I used to always, whenever I would do a show with somebody through StreamYard or Skype or whatever, the first thing I would do, I'd get to the computer earlier and reboot the modem. And I failed to do that this time.
And it is recording. All right, cool beans.
I'm recording 2. Let's clap it up. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so we're doing episode 11. You're listening to
I'm sorry. Superman goes to prison, right?
Yes, he does.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. Okay.
This is the one I've been looking forward to.
All right. Run with it, dog.
All right. You're listening to the Superman Super Show, episode number 11, Superman Goes to Prison. Hello and welcome to an all-new episode of the Superman Super Show. I'm a host. My name is Steven, and 1,000 miles over there to my right is another host, Mr. Ed Moore. Say hi to the folks, Ed.
Hi to the folks, Ed.
That's a joke that I think we're just never going to stop doing that.
It never gets old.
No, it doesn't. I'm a big fan of taking a joke, running it into the ground, making people sick of it. They get annoyed, and then that's when I just keep beating that dead horse, and then eventually people start to love it again.
It like everything else, it comes back around.
That's right.
If you just do it long enough, yeah.
So could we consider that our banter for the episode?
Sure. I think we've bantered good. For those of you who aren't behind the scenes, Steven and I have been playing around here for almost 2 hours. So we're kind of banter light at this particular moment.
That's right. And that's the thing to bring up, actually, for those who maybe only listen to the audio episode. We do record these in batches. We try to do, well, the goal was to try to do 4 at a time, but I think the most we've ever done is 3.
3.
And when we do that, we get together and we do this live stream on YouTube. And so you can join us live when we do that, or you can just go to the YouTube channel afterwards where the video is saved and you can watch. There's just so much more that we talk about than just the episodes. And You know, currently, for example, you can see our video freeze up on us as we're talking and
Yep.
just
Uh,
crazy stuff.
oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
And you know, I was making a joke earlier about the super fans who, you know, could come in and watch these and then be able to point out in episodes. This is where Steven went off on a tangent for 30 minutes that then he took completely out of the episode. Or this is where Steven kept saying after every other word, but he took that out of the episode. Stuff like that, you know? But there's the almost 2 hours we've been talking, and it might come down to maybe an hour, maybe an hour and 15 minutes of actual episode, audio episode that goes out there in the in the thing. Yeah. So banter complete, chunk. That's the banner complete sound. So today we are looking at Superman Goes to Prison. This is a story that appeared in Action Comics number 10. It was written by Jerry Siegel. Pencils, according to DCFandom.com, were done by Joe Shuster and Wayne Boring, with inks by Joe Shuster, Wayne Boring, and Paul Loretta. Letters were Paul Loretta, and the editor was Vincent Sullivan. Now, the crediting of Wayne Boring here, Ed, I feel like the moment I started reading this issue, it's like, yeah, I see. I just assumed it was Wayne Boring throughout the whole thing, because there is a lot of Wayne in this art, but I'm also seeing a lot of Joe in it as well. So I think they maybe got that one right. You know, you just never know. You just never know. But I think they might have gotten that one right. So this was, of course, published by DC Comics. It's got a cover date of March 1939, and the approximate on sale date, according to Mike'sAmazingWorld.com, is February 7th, 1939. So let me tell you what happened in this issue. Clark Kent is set. See, this is another reason why you got to watch the videos for exciting bloopers like that.
Absolutely.
Clark Kent is sent to meet up with a man who promises a hot story. The man tells him he is escaped criminal Walter Crane, and his story has to do with cruelties suffered by him and other inmates in the Coreytown jail. Beatings with whips, starvation, sweat boxes, and cramped living conditions. Back at the prison, Superintendent Wyman is beating a prisoner when he receives word that Governor Bixby has arrived. He has read the article written by Clark Kent and is investigating the allegations. The governor questions the prisoners, who all keep silent for fear of being tortured. Superintendent Wyman makes his way to Metropolis, where he questions Clark Kent about where he got his information. He lets him know that harboring a fugitive makes he lets him know that harboring a fugitive makes a person an accessory to the crime. Kent, acting the coward as usual, tells the superintendent where Walter Crane is staying. Wyman goes there and beats up Walter Crane. When Kent returns to the office, all the other reporters have shunned him. He tells the chief he did it so that they could gather more evidence against Superintendent Wyman. In disguise and calling himself Tom Daly, Superman makes his way to Coreytown, purchases a car, and crashes it into Wyman's car. He then beats Wyman up so that he will be arrested. He is sentenced to 6 months in jail. All attempts to punish him fail. At night, he escapes out of the jail, gets a camera, puts his Superman outfit on, and sneaks back in. He arrives just in time to see Walter Crane attempting to escape. He makes good progress until he gets stuck in quicksand. Wow, excuse me. He makes good progress until he gets stuck in quicksand in the swamp. Superman walks into the quicksand and pulls Crane out. He returns Crane to the prison and takes pictures while Crane is whipped and put into the sweat box. Superman decides he's had enough, removing Crane from the sweat box and putting Wyman in instead. He runs off to the governor's mansion and drags the governor to the prison. He tells Wyman that he's going to kill him the same way Wyman killed the prisoners. Wyman promises to never torture the prisoners again. The governor hears his confession, and Wyman's reign of terror comes to an end. Ed, what'd you think of this one?
Well, just wow. I kept having images of Cool Hand Luke in my mind.
Yep.
I kept hearing the boss man say, "I believe here what we have is a failure to communicate." I'm surprised nobody was eating boiled eggs.
Yep.
But and for those of you that don't know, that's a movie reference. Go ahead and look it up. Pretty good movie, pretty good cast. But it just, of course, I would have a lot of things to say about the world we live in now and how harsh it may or may not be, just the world in general.
Right.
But daggone it, this world of 1939 was harsh.
Well,
I mean, it was harsh everywhere. Everybody was harsh, and that's just story after story. That's what's really coming out to me is that I read comic books to escape. I like my superheroes good, and I like my villains bad, and but this world, I don't know. How difficult is the real world if people are reading these stories to escape into this world? Because this world is just, like I said, just bloody harsh. I mean, it is just wow. And Superman's a good guy. Uh, a good guy by 1939 terms. I don't know nowadays if you could call him a good guy, really.
Yeah.
You certainly, and that this is not alluding to anything other than this is the start of comic books. But I don't even think at this point you can consider Superman a superhero.
Right.
First of all, he really doesn't have super. The super adjective doesn't necessarily apply. And I don't know, calling this man heroic is just kind of a stretch. And not busting on Superman. I've mentioned before that I'm in the process of reading a lot of the early Batman stories. Batman is not heroic in his stories either. So it's not Superman suffering. It's the creators and what is in their mind that they're trying to do making comic books. I just don't, I don't know. But there was a lot of harshness. Now I will say, that I'm aware that a lot of the things that this dude was doing at his prison, they used to happen, and probably to some extent they still do happen. Certainly in other countries, but I suspect that they still happen quite a bit in our country, despite what how we want prisons to be run. Just flipping through this as I'm talking. Panel 56, when Clark is in the stocks, the very first thing that struck me was that he was going to chop his hands off, and I don't know why I thought that. I don't know. I'm like, he's not gonna. So I'm looking at the next panel. I was like, oh, okay. But just harsh, just harsh. How about you? You wanted to talk about this one, so.
Well, this is another example. We kind of talked about this, I think, when he destroyed the slums, in order for the government to be forced to build better housing. So this is another example of Superman, I mean, trying to do the right thing, but the way he's doing it is very questionable. The moment I'm going to focus in on here is the moment when, after he rescues Crane from the quicksand, he takes him back to the prison and then hides with his camera so he can take pictures of Superintendent Wyman whipping him. So he's got his evidence.
Right, of Crane being abused.
And it's like the The Superman of today would not just stand aside. It's basically he's like, okay, because I think at one point he even says, I'm gonna try to find the panel real quick, because as he's watching Crane being whipped, I jumped ahead of it. He says, "I hate to stand idly by, but it's for the best." And it's, I don't know, that was kind of cringy. And he, Superman eventually becomes a character with a certain set of morals,
Mhm.
and he stands for a certain, moral outlook, and he means something. And at this point, yeah, it's like, sure, he's fighting for the oppressed, he's battling evil, he's meting out justice, but just the fact that he would not only stand by and allow another human being to be put through such torturous pain, so he could get photos of it to sure, so he could, yeah, get it closed down. But not only does he stand by and let it happen, he brought the guy back so that it could happen. I mean, that's really why he brought the guy back. It wasn't
Mhm.
like, I can't let this guy escape because then it would clue people into what I'm doing. No, it's he. I mean, I don't think they spell it out, but that's why because otherwise he would have just taken him back to his cell or something. He dumps him out into the middle of the frickin' prison yard so that everybody can see that Crane tried to escape, knowing full well that he's going to get tortured because of it. And then Clark can get his pictures. That's just, man, I tell you what, if this was a book that was coming out now, and this was the first issue of a
No way.
character, I would have put the book down and said, this is not, I can't get behind this guy. This is not a hero. This is not somebody I can get behind. Again, he's trying to do the right thing, but you know what they say, the road to hell is paved with good
Paved with good.
intentions.
Yep.
And man, it was this was a tough one to read for me, because growing up with Superman, of course, being my favorite superhero and has always been my favorite superhero. And, the Superman, the way he was when I was first introduced to him in the mid to late 70s,
This
this is
no,
obviously not him.
no,
He's got
this
a
is
lot of growing to do. But wow, and the the moment where Clark gives up where Crane is, really, I mean, kind of had me scratching my head to an extent, because I was thinking to myself, wow, he is really holding on to this. I have to play up Clark being a coward to protect my Superman identity. And that was the first, because that was the first moment I was like, oh wow, you're willing to get this guy thrown back in prison and be tortured just so nobody finds out you're Superman.
right.
That, again, I don't Superman wouldn't do that today. And of course, then we find out it's all an elaborate plan, which is still a horrible plan,
Yeah.
but the chief is okay with it. Everybody else is okay with this plan. And I have to assume the readers were reading this going, that was a great idea, Superman. Yeah,
Right.
so what? Some freaking prisoners get some more torture. I mean, there's a reason they're in jail, right? That's probably what a lot of people were thinking at the time. But it was a, it was a, I have to laugh. I have to laugh, because otherwise, yeah, it was a hard one to read. And I wonder, I'm I didn't have time to do this because, again, I was up really late last night, and that's when I read these stories. But
What
I wanted to kind of look into maybe when prison reform or whatever started to happen, when it came out that stuff like this was happening in prisons. How timely was this story? Was this something that people in America were just starting to learn, and they make this issue about it, or was this something that was kind of old news by then? That's something I'd like to know. I think that would be pretty interesting.
It is an interesting topic to have just
Yeah.
pulled out of the air to decide to write a story on. So you would think something in these 13 pages that we read were the trigger for Spiegel deciding that he wanted to make
Yeah.
a story about whatever, you know, either the reporter turning somebody in, the reporter smuggling himself, the conditions in the prison,
Yeah.
something about the story was the impetus for Spiegel to for Siegel.
Yeah.
Spiegel is the anime character, Spike Spiegel. To something was the impetus to write this, and I wonder what it was exactly at that
Yeah.
time.
It feels like, to me, like maybe some of the books from the 70s, like the Green Lantern, Green Arrow, Hard Traveling Heroes,
Hmm.
some of the books that they do today, where they are trying to, they're it's social commentary. They're pointing out things in the world, in the country, that they feel people need to look at and be aware of. And I think that they have done that a number of times, obviously, in this series.
Hmm.
I don't like the term social justice warrior, but you could consider at least Siegel one of those. But the the story he told to open up this topic to his readers, or at least it's obviously something that he has heard about, and he felt strongly against it, and he wanted to write a story about it. But the way in which his main character um, goes about his business to stop this
Yeah, it's
kind of tells you what, again, like you said, what kind of world this was back then. And if yeah, I mean, they were trying to do something good, and it's okay to let some prisoners get tortured if it means shutting it down eventually. And that just tells you what kind of world they were living in at the time, how people thought back then. And it's a, yeah, harsh reality for the time.
yes, sir. And there hasn't been, to my mind, any question in any of these stories as ends justifying the means. That has
Right.
not been broached in the story really anywhere, as
Right.
far as I can tell, at all. So
Right.
apparently, that's not what they're trying
Yeah.
to show either.
Yeah.
Ends me. Nope, that's not the
Nope.
story element. So.
Yeah.
Um,
Nobody at any point says, I
um,
understand that you did a good thing here, but are you sure you went about it the right way? No, yeah, nobody's trying to teach that moral. It's
right. Yeah.
so
That's not. Yeah.
so it's either that they're not interested in that moral lesson, or it's just that wasn't
It's
considered
right.
something they figured was wrong at the
That's not
time.
the question.
Yeah,
That's not the question.
didn't even enter into their head as Superman might not be tackling this the right way.
The moral was finding out that this prison is doing people dirty. How do we do that? Well, we got to catch them in the act. Really? I mean,
Yeah.
is that yeah.
Now, if he had, put himself in this prison as a prisoner, if there was a character at the time in the books like a Jimmy Olsen who could have come along with him and hidden somewhere in the hills with a telephoto lens and photographed Superman
Yeah,
being
that's
tortured,
different. Right.
that would have been the route I would have gone, because then they would have gotten the photos of prisoners being tortured, but they wouldn't have had to put somebody in harm's way in order to do it. They would have,
There would have
you know
been no Clark Kent's harmed in the filming of this
Right.
production. Yeah. So
Just Tom Daly, which isn't the guy who did his voice in the 90s Superman animated series, Tim Daly?
I believe so. I
Full
was
circle.
going to throw out a reference to "Hang Down Your Head," Tom Dooley, but
Hmm.
yeah, you beat me to the reference. Do you know that song?
I don't.
You don't know that song? Oh, that's
I
a
don't think so.
folk song.
Okay.
Hang down your head, Tom Dooley. Hang down your
Hmm.
head and cry.
That does sound familiar.
The Kingston Trio, I think, made it
Yeah.
famous. If you know the name Kingston Trio, do you know them?
That it's familiar.
Okay, yeah,
It's it,
that's a
yeah.
folk group from the late late 60s, early to mid 70s, I think, is when they were out.
Yeah.
Couple things I noted. This was the first story where they actually made the effort to make Superman's S red throughout. I knew I had made a note of that, and this was the
Yeah.
story.
Yep.
They miss every now and then, but
Yeah.
pretty much every instance it's red.
Heck, they
Also,
miss the shield altogether in some of these
yeah,
panels.
yeah, really. And is it them or is it the poo-poo recoloring that is doing
Yeah.
that?
Who
You know,
knows?
yeah, that's again, that's another one of the issues with the recoloring is that y- you don't know specifically what color they were trying to do or what they were trying to do. So how do you know you're not messing up
Yeah.
what they? Yeah,
Maybe
um,
John can tell us.
perhaps, yeah, or old time radio. Maybe they have knowledge of how
Yeah.
things were done back then. The splash page, panel one. This is going to turn out extended to be the cover for the first issue of the Superman ominously named title.
Yes. Yeah. I know the pose. Yep.
This is it. So
I have
that's
a somewhere in storage a little statue that has it's like a fake metal, but he's posed like that, and then behind him is a plastic version of that first issue of Superman.
okay.
It's about yeah, big.
I don't know if they have done it with Superman yet. I would have to look and see. But you're familiar with Pop Funkos,
Yep.
okay? They have started putting out producing a series of those with a character in a large box, and in the back of the inside box is the cover of the comic book that had the first appearance of the Pop that is there.
Nice.
And I would suggest that when they do Superman, if they haven't already, that Action One will probably be the cover that's in the back. I know that the
Yeah.
cover for Detective Comics, what, 27? Was that
Yeah.
the
27.
first Batman? That's what they have behind Batman. Wonder Woman, they have her first cover of Sensation Comics.
Okay.
Moon Knight, I've seen, is the issue of the first Moon Knight named comic.
Okay.
Um, so having seen those already, they have to have done a Superman, I would think by now, but I just hadn't seen it. But
Yeah.
yeah, and with those couple notes, that's just wow. Let's get some hero Superman going soon.
I think it.
Although 12, yeah, 12, he's pretty hero-y in or in yeah in issue. Is it going to be issue 12? No, issue 11. And then in issue 12, he is this same really hard dude, which you haven't read yet. I read
No, I
that one
haven't
just
gotten
in
there
case.
yet.
But yeah, 11, this next one, it's a little bit mellower, and then he
Yeah.
seemingly reverts to type the next story. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm looking forward to a yeah, and I don't say this to be mean, but a Superman that I can look up to because I have a hard time looking up to this dude so far.
That's one of the reasons I've always liked Superman. He's
Well,
unquestionable. You can look up to him. Even it's he's always been the one you could look up to, and he's nowhere
well,
near that at this point.
and it's not because he's bad or it's he's I mean he is still doing good things. He is still doing the right thing. Unfortunately, it just seems that at this time, the road to the right thing is maybe a little more crooked than we
Yep.
would assume it to be,
Yep.
today.
Yep.
The there is an ends, and the ends are typically positive. Something good happens, or if not good, then the right thing or the just thing happens. But yeah, the path getting there sometimes is wow. But then, that brings to mind a character like the Spectre for DC Comics. He has been said to be the embodiment of God, capital G, God's wrath. And boy, when he punishes bad guys,
Yeah.
you know,
Well, Old Testament God wasn't a
well,
pickle.
no, he said what you needed to do, and if you didn't, he let you know that you should have done what you needed to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was no middle
Yeah.
there. It was yeah. Old Testament is pretty harsh,
Yeah.
pretty harsh. But that's everything that comes. Well, no, I take that back. There was one word here. Let me throw out the term for the car that he bought.
Oh, that's right. I meant to
S
write that down.
L I V V E R, and I believe it's pronounced flivver,
Yeah.
and that
Maybe.
is defined as a cheap car or aircraft, especially one in bad condition.
Huh.
Never seen
Never.
that word before in my life, ever.
No. I feel like I have maybe in some book I've read
Wow,
set maybe in the
that's
time, but yeah, I remember again, it's one of those things that as soon as I came across the word, I'm like, "Oh, I should look this up." And I thought, "Nah, it'll do it because this is the kind of stuff he's looking for."
it is, yeah.
So,
Wikipedia also says it's an early 20th century American slang, et cetera,
yeah,
et cetera, et cetera. So it's
never.
very era specific apparently.
See, I would have called it. We
Yes.
would have called him a beater when I
Yeah,
was a teenager.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's it.
I it should be
Flavor,
noted that
flavor.
unlike Superman joins the circus, a dog does die in this issue.
Oh, yeah, because he kicks it into the
Well,
I
he
can't believe I'm saying that.
it panels, what is it, 82 and 83, he has rescued Crane from the quicksand as the bloodhounds that the prison has released to find them attack. One of the bloodhounds leaps at Superman. He ducks. The bloodhound flies
Oh,
over
okay,
his head,
okay.
lands into the freaking quicksand, and sinks to his death.
And sinks to its doom amidst
Yeah.
frantic howls within the
Right?
bog. Yeah, it's like, wow, you go, guys.
Yeah. It's
Poor,
like
poor guy, man. He's
you
just
could have
doing what
just
he's
not
supposed to do.
you could have just shown it and not told us about the frantic howls and the
Yeah,
yeah,
just
I could
moved
have
on.
yeah.
Well, what happened there? I don't know. Looks like maybe the dog jumped and missed Superman and just oh, okay. But
But I guess
no, you gotta
it's a bad guy dog because works for the prison. So we're
no,
supposed to be okay with it.
no. It's
So
just a dog.
it's
It's
just a
just a
dog,
dog.
exactly.
That's like saying that that's an evil hammer. Well,
Right.
no, it's just a hammer somebody killed somebody with.
Yeah.
There's it's
Yeah.
it's just a hammer. It's
Just a
just a
poor
dog
dog.
doing what it's supposed to do. Now, there is some amount of training, but a
Yeah.
lot of that training just relies on natural instincts for the way the dogs are anyways.
Yeah.
Dog's just doing what a dog does.
Yeah. All right. Is that all we got?
I believe so. I think I'm good, sir.
All right. I want to thank everybody for listening to this episode of the Superman Super Show. If you want to drop us a line, you can do that at the Superman Super Show at gmail.com or follow us over on Twitter at Soups Super Show, or just come join the message board forum.justanotherfanboy.com and come post over in the Superman Super Show forum. And hey, while you're at it, if you want to be, a big help, if you want to support the show, spread the word, tell everybody about us. We got folks who are retweeting stuff for us over on Twitter, which is great. We got folks who also do like the quote retweet, where they're not where they're retweeting, but then they're also adding their own comments to say why you should be listening to these episodes, and that's even greater. They're both great. We appreciate everybody doing what they're doing, and it's a huge help. So until next week, my name is Steven, and I'm going to say goodbye. Goodbye. And then over there, that's Ed, and he's going to say goodbye.
Goodbye.
All right. Well, that's 3 episodes.
Yep.
In 2.5 hours.
Yep.
I talk too much. But I think it would be really not fun if we just got down to business. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, at some point, yes, but
when we get to the full issues, yeah, we're going to have to do a little bit more getting down to business.
But I mean, are we going to do a whole book in one sitting, or are we going to do one story in each episode?
That's a good
because
point. That's a good point.
These are roughly 13 pages each, and John told us that the stories, at least initially, are going to run about 13 pages each in that book. So if we did just a story, then our shows will be the same length. We'll be maintaining the roughly the same length. So
yeah, it's a good point. We could do that. My camera, I'm noticing, just always seems to freeze at the most inopportune times. I always do these slow blinks, and the camera seems to freeze as I'm like in mid blink. So it almost, because I'm looking up and in mid blink at the same time, it looks like you're saying something, and I'm just going, like, whatever. Oh my God, he's talking again. It's funny. All righty then. Well, yeah. If I'm going to make that beef stew, I should probably get it in the crock pot.
Done.
I got to cut up carrots and stuff. So,
okay. So in the Google Drive folder, I'm going to remove episode 7. Right.
And 8. I've already grabbed 8 as well. So.
Oh, you grabbed them both? Okay. I'll take those down, and then I'll put my recordings for these episodes up there. Yeah. The other day it was acting really weird. Took me like 3 or 4 attempts and like 5 or 6 hours for whatever to straighten up and fly right up.
I was going to say fly right.
Oh. All right. So that takes us through issue 11 of Action, right?
So that gives us
okay. Yeah.
So let's see. Next week, so the 6th will be episode 8, and then 9, 10, and 11. So we have episodes that'll take us through the end of June.
Right. Basically, right now you're sitting on 4 episodes. So the next 4 Mondays, you've got covered as far as release schedule.
Yep.
But whatever is works best for you, however far you want to bank these is fine with me. I'm not doing the work on the backside of editing these things. Between you and I hate editing. I think I've already said that.
I rather enjoy it. I don't know why.
Well, no, I can understand that. There are just processes like that. There's other people that I've listened to that, they really dig taking their one voice 3-hour show and cutting it down to 1:45.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, that's cool. When I record, I'll give it to you, and you can you can do all that editing. That's not a problem. That's why if you listen to any of my shows that I do now solo, 20-25 minutes at most. I talk about one book, and I just that way. If I do have to edit, usually the only editing is dropping in intros and outros. As far as music, I'm not even sure, to be honest. I've never solicited promos from people because I'm not 100% sure how to put them in my show.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't want to give my promo to them and not be able to put their promo on the show. So I've never made a promo and given it out ever in any of my podcasting. So.
All right. Well, you use Audacity?
Yes, sir, I do.
Well, Maybe sometime I'll show you how to do that. It's pretty. It's
I'll
pretty.
let you know if I wanna
Yeah.
learn it. You know, right now I'm sitting on about what did I look at today? Let's see, 6 and 4 is 10, and I think 2 or 3. So I'm looking at 12 or 13 things that I need to edit right now. I need to post produce. So
Yeah.
that's me.
Yeah. I hear you. That's the dark side of podcasting.
It's it's the unglamorous part, certainly.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm gonna go then.
All right, man.
I heard my dog bark earlier. I'll probably see what he's probably ready to go back out again at this point. So, and then make my beef stew.
Sounds like a winner.
Talk to you later, Ed.
All right, Steven. Thanks, man.
Bye.
Bye.